Good morning and welcome to each one this morning. And welcome to Lubitsa as our clerk of the day. And I promised her I'd do everything I could to help make her more nervous. So, glad that she's here to fill in for us. And just to make you aware that council meetings are available live through Zoom, and recordings may be posted online on County of Huron's YouTube channel. You may be seen and or heard as part of these broadcasts, and your name, comments, and or presentation materials will become part of the public record. So we'll call this meeting to order, and just a few things to report on. Just want to make you aware that Huron County Museum celebrated its 50th anniversary since it became part of the museum program, and the restoration work that was taking place there. So it was a good to be part of that. And also the Discovery Healthcare Camp on July 7th. And I just want to make you aware, that's through Gateway. And students in the medical profession come and have a week of camp. And the idea at the end of all that is, to help get some attraction back to Huron County when they're finished with their studies. And it was exciting that there was 27 students. So that's the biggest group that they've had to date. And I think that's pretty impressive, just to make you aware of that, some good work going on there. Just want to remind you of the employee appreciation event this afternoon, and starting at 1:30 at the Maitland Links Golf Course. It's way at the north end of the county. So I think you'll enjoy coming up and spending the afternoon there with us. And also just to make you aware that the Huron County plowing match at the Dodds Farm in Winthrop is taking place tomorrow and Friday. So if there's any opportunity that you can come and take part of that, we'd certainly appreciate to see you there. So with that, I'm going to go for approval of the agenda. Past Warden Ginn and Councillor McClellan would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. Is there any pecuniary interest that anybody needs to declare at this time? So, Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Warden. Item number 12, the meat processing gap analysis and environmental scan. My granddaughter is a butcher at a local abattoir. Okay.
And Councillor Noel.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Item 11.6, which is the recommendation to award RFP HC 25-302 consulting engineering services for the urban reconstruction of Hensel downtown. The general nature of my interest is that my daughter is employed at BM Ross & Associates. Thank you.
Okay. Any other pecuniary interest? Okay. Thank you for making us aware of that. We're looking at the minutes of our previous meeting. Is there any errors or omissions? And if not, I'd be looking for a motion to adopt. Past Warden McNeil would make that motion, seconded by Councillor Finch. Those in favor? And that is carried. And under delegations this morning, we have youth attraction and engagement in Huron County, presented by Leanne Stanley. And Vicki, I'm going to let you introduce our students with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Warden. Through you to Council, it's my pleasure this morning to introduce to you two of our summer students. Leanne Stanley is currently a junior economic development officer with our department. Leanne grew up in and around Huron County, attending school in Clinton and moving between Lucknow, Clinton, Grand Bend, and Bayfield. She now attends the University of Ottawa, where she studies conflict and human rights. Over the course of the summer, Leanne has been working to support all four lines of business in the Economic Development Department, and it has been a pleasure to have her working with us. Benjamin Baker is a summer student at the Huron County Museum and Huron County Jail for the second year in a row. He started helping in the archives in 2024, and this year he's primarily worked at the jail and helped with marketing and event planning. His projects this summer include coordinating the jail's 50th anniversary celebrations in July and creating popular short video content for the museum's social media. Ben grew up in and around the Greater Toronto area, visiting his grandfather in Bayfield throughout his childhood. Ben moved to Goderich officially in 2023. He is now soon graduating from McMaster University, where he studies psychology, neuroscience, and behavior. We also have with us this morning 3 other students who participated in the focus group that Leon and Ben are going to tell you more about. So it gives me pleasure to introduce you to Livia Picado Swan, giveaway, AJ Silver, and Nadine Van Breda. Nadine. Okay. I would like to give you just a little bit of background on this report. So if you recall, during our priority setting activity in this council's priority setting activity in the spring, youth attraction was one of the top priorities. That priority was basically assigned to Director Rumble with some assistance from myself and our departments, looking at 6 different initiatives around youth attraction. And as Director Rumble and I discussed how to execute on those initiatives to attract and retain youth in Huron County, we thought that this summer we had a wonderful opportunity with youth on our teams to be able to sit down and have a conversation. Over the years, it has proven true that the best way to communicate with youth is to have youth help to lead any of those communications or projects. By youth, for youth is what's important. So we invited the 5 students that are with us here today to come to a focus group and start to talk to us. And I want to say that we were thrilled and in awe of the enthusiastic engagement of these students. The question was, what would it take to attract and retain youth in Huron County? What would appeal to you? What are stumbling blocks? Talk to us about what the experience would be like from your perspective. The students shared openly. They shared beyond our expectations. Everything was framed in a very positive way. Even when they saw it as a stumbling block, they were still very positive. They all had in common that Huron County is a great place to be, but there are things we could do better. And we know that, or it wouldn't be a priority. So we took the opportunity to ask the students to put together a presentation for council so that they could hear student concerns in the students' own voices. Leon is the primary author of the report that's in front of you, but all students have contributed to it. And I will now let them take it away, and we welcome any questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
So welcome, Leon and Ben, and when you're ready, you go ahead.
Thank you. In today's presentation, we will cover information about youth in Huron County. Then we will discuss the findings of our June 2025 focus group, followed by a literature review of supporting research. Finally, we will discuss our next steps.
Youth are defined as those between 15 to 29. Based on Statistics Canada's 2021 census of Huron County, youth comprise 16% of this area. Youth's perceptions often become their reality, so it is important to understand their concerns and values. Based on Statistics Canada's intervals, we presume those 15 to 19 were fully dependent, and those 20 to 24 were experiencing independence for the first time or completing a rite of passage like going away for school. Meanwhile, those 25 to 29 are presumed to be fully independent. Of the 9,665 youth in Huron County, they were evenly distributed, meaning the needs of each age group were equally as relevant. Each age group will have different life experiences, goals, and fears.
In June 2025, Economic Development hosted a focus group with several students working with the county ages 19 to 24. All participants were currently enrolled in university in Canada. Director Rumble and Lass led on youth initiatives by starting with youth in their own departments in this focus group. In our focus group were 3 youth who grew up in Huron County, while 2 moved here later in life. The youth in our focus group worked at the library, museum, and economic development. We discussed 4 main elements of the question of how do we attract and retain youth in Huron County. We determined who we are attracting, what ages, and what audience. We asked what the message we say should be to our audience. We discussed how we could share this message, and finally, we then discussed what needs to change and why.
Here are the key takeaways from our focus group. Youth in our focus group identified struggling with transportation due to needing a car to work and live in Huron County. difficulties traveling between university and home, and lack of public transportation. Cost of transportation also impeded a feeling of independence and ability to socialize. Youth also felt there were a lack of events for them. Youth associated returning home with earning less and felt there were less job opportunities here compared to urban areas. Youth identified a lack of rental housing within Huron County settlement areas, and youth experienced discrimination due to race, class, and/or sexuality, which impeded a feeling of belonging. Participants shared some personal experiences in the focus group. The Goderich rock concert catered to youth, but felt it was not accepted by older generations and has not since reoccurred. It took 7 hours to travel from Waterloo to Exeter via public transport. Difficulty getting home leads to youth only returning for longer semester breaks and leading to further disconnect from their community. It was hard to make friends after moving here since hockey was too expensive. Experiencing discrimination in the community makes it feel like you don't belong. It can feel unsafe walking along busy roads, between towns, or unlit streets at night. And events usually cater themselves to families or occur during youth's regular working hours.
So what are the recommendations? Our focus group gave several recommendations as to how youth attraction and retention could be improved. This includes improved promotion and development of transit solutions and youth events, more representation of youth and county promotional materials, improved promotion and development of student jobs in Huron County, affordable housing, availability of rentals in Huron County's settlement areas, and accessible and affordable recreation options for older youth. Finally, encouraging more third places around the county and in businesses.
Existing research on youth outmigration emphasizes the concerns that our focus group identified. It was found that youth's perceptions of their homes solidifies in high school, so it is important that 15 to 19-year-olds in particular have a positive relationship with their community. With that, students should be aware of what services and opportunities exist here before they graduate high school. Youth also need a third place other than home or school/work to improve their sense of community and belonging. Youth in Huron County tend to connect with one another across several settlement areas. Findings state that effective youth strategies are consistent across all communities. Research found that youth-centered recreation can promote a sense of community early on. Discrimination based on race, ethnicity, and sexuality is still a significant occurrence in rural southwestern Ontario. Experiencing discrimination damages youth's perceptions of feeling welcome and can cause them to want to leave their community. Youth are a key element to a vibrant and diverse community, but also are essential to the labor force. Therefore, we investigated workforce statistics. After surveying Seaforth business owners and staff, it was found that the top 3 workforce concerns were the level of applicant experience, expectations around wage, and available workforce/shortage of workers. When comparing the age distribution of rural and urban Ontario, it found ages 25 to 29 and 65 to 69 had the highest discrepancy. Most significantly, rural populations saw the lowest amount of 25 to 29-year-olds compared to urban populations, while rural areas had the highest amount of 65 to 69-year-olds compared to urban populations. Huron County has an aging population, where we anticipate the bulk of the workforce to be nearing retirement. Now is an essential time to focus on youth employment. Additionally, in 2025, Statistics Canada found that youth not in employment, education, or training was on the rise. This represents youth who are unemployed, but also youth not in the labor force. Most significantly, 46% of women aged 25 to 29, not in employment, training, or education, stated childcare as their reasoning, while only 5.4% of males in that age group did the same. This is significant as statistically, women are more likely to pursue and complete post-secondary education. Women are also more likely to leave rural areas due to lack of employment opportunities. Rates of unemployment for returning students 15 to 24 has increased to 17.4% this summer. The highest rate, a 7.2% increase from the record low in June 2022 of 10.2%. The literature review supports the themes that were identified in the focus group, and statistics helped us identify the growing concerns around youth attraction, including workforce. We see several benefits to further pursuing research. Previous research on youth in rural communities does not account for the impact COVID-19 has had. We need to develop an understanding of how expectations for youth differ from their reality. Potential research could have a broader impact on our understanding of youth and attraction and engagement throughout all of Ontario. We strongly believe that retention and attraction are intertwined, and further research could help align our strategy. Next, we'll move to our proposal and intended next steps. In sum, we are pleased to make Council aware of our plan to conduct a two-part study. We plan to hold qualitative focus groups in and out of Huron County to further inform a strategy to retain and attract youth. Part 1 of the study would focus on youth to understand what youth value and what youth need. To determine the consistency of these needs and wants among youth, we would consider those residing in and out of Huron County. Our questions would consider what motivates youth, how should we bring youth together, what does belonging look like and why does it matter, what's important to youth in looking for a place to live, what is good here and what are the challenges of living here, and what do youth see as the role of municipal government in addressing their concerns. Part 2 of our study would look at adult generations, using similar questions to grasp their perspectives on what the community currently does for youth and where change can occur. It is important to distinguish what is missing from our community and what is miscommunicated, and also investigate what is the role of those in the community in making this space more welcoming for youth. We see the next steps for this project as to inform County Council of the additional research being planned to provide data needed for an informed marketing strategy on youth engagement and retention, to determine budget for the research and seek funding programs to offset the cost of research, determine the best path forward for conducting research, whether it's a student thesis project, hired consultant, or utilizing university students from Huron County to carry out the focus groups. We plan to conduct and implement associated research plan in 2026. Thank you.
So thank you, Leanne and Ben, for that information, a lot of information there. I'm going to go to council if there's any comments that you would have. Past Warden McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. There was two areas that I want to ask a question about. The first one, when you talked about, you said the hockey was out of reach because of the cost. Was hockey the only sport that was out of reach or the only one that was desirable? Because I presume all the other sports are quite a bit cheaper to play. So was it just the one that was out of reach?
In our focus group, hockey is what came up specifically as someone who moved here recently. Recreation was discussed in a couple different cases. Hockey was the main one that came up in terms of financial affordability, but we found other recreational activities were either inaccessible because of travel and distance, related costs of things like affordable gyms and things like that for youth. We also discussed recreation in terms of available leagues for those above the age of 18 in Huron County. So hockey was the biggest example, primarily, that was a direct anecdote, but we discussed recreation in a lot of different ways and forms.
And the second one, Mr. Warden, when you talked about transportation, and we're all aware of the fact that transportation is an issue in rural areas, period, but are you asking for transportation literally across the entire county? Or if you took a town like Goderich and just had local transportation in the town, is that sufficient to make a big difference?
I think we generally thought that shuttle buses between townships and settlement areas, major ones first, and if they already exist, to encourage and promote it among younger generations. And then I think that would be step one, but I think buses or anything inside the actual towns themselves, I don't think is as much of a priority. It would be nice, but because they are already very walkable and bikeable, I think it's mainly between townships.
All right, past Warden McNeil and then past Warden Ginn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden, and I would really like to compliment the presenters and all of the students for the research that you've done. As Director Loss indicated at the outset, the best solutions always come from within, and asking the youth in this particular situation what is required to make Huron County a better place. So thank you very much for your research, and that's what we're all here for, is not only for decisions today, it's for future generations. And thank you very much for what you have provided to us for information that we can improve Huron County. Thank you. Thank
Past
you.
Warden Ginn.
Yeah, my question pertains to lack of post-secondary education in Huron County and rural areas. And I just wondered a couple of things. Was that seen as a barrier? Was that something that came up very often? And the reason I ask this question is because I know in the States there's a lot of universities in very small towns. There's universities that have higher populations than what the town does. I had some friends who went to Bowling Green is one example that I'm well aware of, but I just wonder if you could provide some comments on that.
I can't say myself if I noticed in the focus group a particular perception that that would be feasible in any way or desirable by youth, just because of the Canadian culture around attending university and going far from home. Ontario is a very large province and people tend to like to travel far for university and explore different options. I do think, however, though, the main concerns really related to post-secondary was there aren't that many universities very far from here, including colleges, and yet it's still very difficult to get between the two. Youth are interested in going away for school, but they're also very interested in coming back, whether it be for a weekend to see their family and friends, for reading week, Christmas break, summer break. All in all, youth want that adaptability to live in two cities and come back as they please, and that currently isn't perceived as being accessible. With that, students are often mostly in pursuit of employment and opportunity in that sense. So overwhelmingly, youth felt that not only were there a lack of student jobs here, not even for the summers, but also for graduating youth and youth looking to start a career somewhere. They didn't perceive Huron County to be a place that they could do that. And with that, in a range of variety of fields as well. One of the studies in the report talks about northeastern Ontario and how a lot of youth there had an anti-North ideology, where they carried this perception that you could only return to Northern Ontario if you were to work in mining or forestry. And I'd say a similar sentiment carries in Huron County youth, where youth struggle with the idea of returning home if they're not coming back to work in agriculture or perhaps broader fields like business or law. So that'd be my response to you, I think.
I'd also just like to add and support that I think the message that was coming across in the group was that it's, again, mainly transportation opportunities to get between home and school. And I'm no stranger to having to go far to get from home to school because I'm from the GTA originally. And I think it's just mainly, again, stuff like shuttle buses and more transportation opportunities to get between places.
So Councillor Finch and then Councillor Klopp.
Thank you. Through the warden, excellent presentation. Very well done. Very proud of our youth, of course. And you make some very good points. First generation Canadians are out playing hockey, and hockey seems to be the mainstay because that's what we've always done. Society's always done it this way, which is great. But recreation has always been a melting pot for a community. If you offer one thing on the menu, and if you don't like it, well, you're paying to support it, but you're not taking any part of it because you don't play hockey. It's not your thing, right? So it's unfair in that respect. However, society needs to do better. Recreation does not have to be expensive, but it has to be inclusive. And I think you've really nailed a lot of things today. So I'm very proud of your presentation. Thank you.
Councillor Klopp.
Thank you very much. Yes, with regards to that issue of where school is versus getting home, not that I've done a deep study. I just listened to the odd kid around town, out in the country, and I think you've got it pretty well nailed in your study. I can recall my generation leaving, not me because I couldn't afford it, but it was we had a bus service, and that was very much used. I didn't realize how much it was till I started dating someone who was going to university, and picking her up in Hensel. I lived pretty close to Hensel. I knew there was a bus. I just didn't realize how many students used that bus service, and it was canceled. And so now we've started that process with the municipalities do the hard work of Lambton Shores initiating. And that is one of the things that I noticed, just again, not spending a lot of time on it, but just hearing anecdotally the students saying it really was important to get back home. They had a job that they could do. And that was one of the, personally, one of the reasons that I and our council, I think, understood that. So you've confirmed that. A lot of the information in here, yeah, it's been around a long time. With regards to, and I can appreciate when you do a study, they talked about hockey. But in my neck of the woods, south end of the county and into Lambton, quite a very active soccer. Due again to the ethnic background of our Dutch friends that started immigrating here after the war, and that's continued. In Blue Water, there was actually an active soccer system, but again, it takes people to run it. We're here as we have a field, build it. You have to do it. Now maybe we're stuck a little bit. I was told by a counselor that maybe the council of that day was maybe part of the solution or part of the problem. I don't know, but that they didn't really help enough. But at the same time, you do need people. And again, in our neck of the woods, a lot of colleagues, they actually in Zurich, 3-year-olds and up, there's a soccer and the school helps sponsor that, our local school in the summer. So there is other activities. It just may be unfortunate that, again, when you do a survey, whoever comes, that's what's talked about. But I don't really want to go away here thinking that that's all that they've been talking about. And it was unfortunate that you didn't bring that up.
Okay, Councillor Bazinet and then Councillor Finch.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Warden. Wow, what a delegation. I've been doing this for 11 years now with Goderich and then County Council, and this is the best delegation that I've listened to. This is youth engagement, having youth come to us and inform us what the real issues are, having those conversations. And what I would like to see moving forward is more of these delegations, more of these conversations, not just today, and then we forget about it. Because I find that's what I find happens. We'll go to conferences and we'll be at a youth seminar or something like that. Wonderful youth speaking, smart, intelligent, telling us what the problems are. We leave, nothing happens, right? So you talk about affordable housing. We struggle with affordable housing. There's the NIMBY effect with that, right? So we want affordable housing. When we knock on people's doors during our campaigns, they say we need more affordable housing. So then when we want to implement or develop affordable housing, they say we don't want it in our backyard. But what we need to understand here, and what the people need to understand here, is the youth need affordable housing. We want to retain our youth in our communities here. You are our future. You're going to continue to make Huron County thrive, and we need the youth to be here. So all the information that you've shared here today is excellent, probably the best information that I've received. I want to see it move forward. I know probably some of you are going away to school in September, but if there's a way that I can get you to the Town of Goderich Council meeting to share this exact delegation, so the members of our community here, which is an older community, it's aging, but they need to know and hear from the youth what the real issues are here. Your voice does matter, and having you here today, I hope we can move forward with some of these issues that you're sharing with us. You talked about childcare, huge issue. We're at full capacity with childcare. How do we keep young families here if we can't provide them the childcare that they need, so then the moms can go back to work? That's a real struggle. I've had several conversations with younger moms over the past couple of weeks regarding our childcare is at full capacity. The focus groups are so important. I agree with public transportation. What I would like to know more about public transportation is sometimes public transportation is implemented and then it goes away like 3 to 6 months later. They don't give it enough time, and they don't talk to the people that might want to use it, right? So for example, when would the youth want to use public transportation? What times a day would they use it, right? There's no point having public transportation at 11 o'clock in the morning if no one's going to use it. So some of those things. But I would want to invite you to the Town of Goderich Council to do a delegation in the future, the one that you just did. And I would hope that the rest of the 9 lower tier municipalities would invite you to do the same thing for their communities as well. But I want to thank you. Best delegation I've ever sat in.
Councillor Finch and then Councillor Noel.
Yeah, thank you to the warden. I think at this point, all the conversation we've had here now, I think we need to put words into actions, quite honestly. There's a population boom going on throughout Huron County, where there's a funding announcement this morning on the front steps by Minister Thompson. That tells us that we're going to have more housing. So therefore, if we're having more housing, I think we need thoughts on from you as what would work for transit in the future, because you are the future, right? It's your opinion that matters. And I think we need to listen to you. So I would hope maybe council would support getting a report back from our staff on regards to what transit could look like for us in the future and have your input in on that. Because in the next 20 years, we're going to see huge population growth, not just in Huron County, but around our region. And we do have a relationship with Huron Shores Area Transit. So I think we need to explore that even more and make it beneficial to everybody. So I'd really look to your comment as to what you think about a report coming back, if that'd be something that you would like to take part in perhaps.
Vicky, you had some comments on that?
I think Leon probably has more valid comments, but my comment was we will absolutely discuss that, and we don't intend to let this die. We felt the level of engagement and enthusiasm by the students demonstrated to us that maybe they were just waiting to be asked.
Well, I'm asking, so I will leave that with staff as to perhaps a report coming back if council so favors to choose that.
Councillor Noel.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I guess I just want to echo what everyone around the table here is saying, that that was an excellent presentation, and it provided a lot of insight that maybe we don't have anymore. We think we're still connected to youth in the community, but as we age, we sort of lose those connections slowly. One of the things that I guess I was disappointed by when I read the report and hear what you have to say is that several youth in your focus group stated that they experienced discrimination in Huron County. And I have a question about that, because we've always sort of understood that there's been a bit of a generational shift, and we've been becoming a more welcoming community as time passes. So in order to focus our work on this specific issue, my question is, and maybe you can't answer, I don't know, but is that discrimination that's been experienced within the youth demographic itself? Is it primarily from like an older demographic that your focus group found that discrimination was happening? Like, I guess I'm just trying to understand if we are in fact becoming a more welcoming community as the generations continue, or if we need to do really specific work within our youth community as well. Thank you.
I can touch on that question from my personal experience. I know members from the focus group are in the gallery, and if they'd like to chime in on experiences that I can't grasp, I'd invite them to. In my own experience growing up in Huron County, I've definitely felt that discrimination was a prominent part of my experience, but not necessarily in an intentional or malicious way. It's a lot of different forms, and it construes differently. So certainly within community organizations and schooling systems and experiences like that, definitely regardless of age, people say things and people express feelings. I had the unfortunate experience of being in rural Southwestern Ontario during COVID-19. And despite growing up here, I am ethnically Chinese. So a lot of my negative experiences came from that period of time, especially from peers and broader sources. I wouldn't say that there's a specific age group that I can point a finger at for this. And I want to emphasize, I don't harbor any belief that the experiences that were put onto me were done in a malicious and intentful way. I think within Huron County, how I've perceived it is that there's simply just a lack of understanding of differences and perhaps a lack of thoughtful questioning in that area, where people often don't know how to approach it, so they simply repress it. But yeah, so to answer your question, I think Huron County is a welcoming place. I've loved growing up here, and I want to come back here one day. I'm back here this summer, and it's my second summer coming back from school. So I've had the option to stay away, and I've chosen to be here. But nevertheless, like, it's been prominent, and I would say whether it's youth from starting when I was in elementary school up to high school, it's been consistent.
Thank you for sharing that, Liam. Last call. Any other? Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Warden. I just wondered, in your focus group, were there any of the youth that have gone away to school and come back here with jobs, or were they all still attending school?
That's where there might be a bit of a bias in our focus group, seeing as we utilize students who were currently working with the county. As we stated, all youth who participated were currently enrolled in university. So we have some who are graduating, but we have some who are returning in the fall as well. All of them came back to work at the museum, library, or economic development. To my understanding, most of the participants in the focus group, other than myself, have worked with the county for several years now, be it the library or museum. So yes, to answer your question, they are coming back and they're continuing their summer jobs, which is great.
All right. Well, thank you, Leon and Ben, so much for the information and the presentation from speaking from the heart. And council's priority is youth engagement, and it was the youth that engaged council this morning. So I think we've got that movement going both ways, and let's build on that as we move forward. So thank you so much for the presentation. And I would be looking for a motion to receive the report. So Councillor Bazinet and Councillor Goderich would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you so much. Going to move on in our agenda to councillors' comments. Past Warden McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. As Councillor Finch already had mentioned, there was a presentation out in front of the courthouse this morning. Lisa Thompson had commented about the fact that we don't get the news coverage that we used to a decade ago. It's harder to get messages out. So I'm going to take this opportunity because she said if there's any way that we can share, she would appreciate that we do it. So on behalf of ACW, Central Huron, Huron East, and South Huron, we all received what I'm going to call significant grant money this morning from the province for infrastructure. And this is to go towards various projects that are intended to help increase housing building in Huron County, which is certainly something that we need. And we also just heard that we need more of. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other councillor comments? Councillor Bazinet.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Warden. Just wanted to let everyone know at the AMO conference, the town of Goderich does have a delegation with the Solicitor General in regards to court security and prisoner transportation. So, you know, as we mentioned, and we thank Huron County for the support of the excess of funds, but we're going to continue to advocate to the province in regards to supporting us financially and not come to the county and asking for support. So, and secondly, if I can, as everyone knows, we did have a fire in the town of Goderich that left 26 people unhoused on Friday, August the 1st. And, you know, it pretty emotional thing to happen for a community and for 26 people, 18 units. We talked about affordable housing. That was pretty much an affordable housing unit. So those people, you know, the struggle now is to find the housing where they were paying the same money for. And I want to thank the county. I'm not going to name names because if I start naming names, I'll forget someone. And I don't want to offend anyone, but it was a team effort. And I want to thank all the local fire departments that came to the town of Goderich that night to help put the fire out as well. I was on scene about 11:25 and I couldn't believe what I seen. I was astonished that people got out. Everyone got out, and we had 7 women that actually went into the building that were living next door that went into the building when it first caught fire and knocked on all their doors. And the fire department did say if they didn't go in, there would have been some loss of lives due to that fire. So total team effort, and I just want to say thank you to everyone involved.
Thank you for those comments, and certainly good news when we can have that kind of an ending. So, all right, thank you for that. Any other councillor comments? Past Warden McNeil.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Warden. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the very, very successful Huron County Food Bank distribution gala that yourself as Warden attended and many other mayors of the respective municipalities and of county council attended. It was a tremendously successful event for a great cause. Huron County funds this, and rightfully so, to provide food for those that are certainly less privileged. And I compliment everyone involved with the food bank for a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just, you've made mention earlier about the plow match tomorrow and Friday. Jillian called me last night to invite all you counselors to come again on Friday to partake in it. She's still doing her job. Says she's going to be sorry to hand over her crown tomorrow afternoon, but she's done a wonderful job for the county. Another note, Mr. Warden, Huron County has a tug oar team from Blue Water going to Holland in the next week and a half to represent the under 23 group. They've been champions the last 3 years. I just want Huron County to wish them well on their endeavor. I don't know if you've seen Scott Miller's tribute to them last night on TV, but this group of children have practiced twice a week for the last couple of years to accomplish what they've done. And I have 2 grandchildren part of this team, and I'm very proud.
And we wish them well as they go international. Councillor Finch.
Thank you. Through the warden, 2 good news stories in South Huron. We had our Freedsburg Day down in Dashwood. So thanks to the team down in Dashwood. That team actually was pulling that day. So it was good to see. And very successful event held every 5 years. Amazing, a small little community like Dashwood can put that on. But there had to be 500 people for sure throughout the day. I'm not sure the full numbers, but there was a lot of people there. And again, this past weekend, we had our Ram Rodeo. Thanks to the Deputy Mayor Jim Dietrich, who's our councillor here, for being on the committee for a number of years. Packed both days. Huge success. People from across the world, people from England, Holland, different people came just to tie in their trip and have that experience of the rodeo. So very good for economic development in the region. So thanks to Jim for being part of that team.
All right. Anything else? Lots going on in Huron County. Good. Thank you for those updates. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. There are 7 items on that list. If there's anything specific anybody wants to pull and speak to, by all means. And if not, I'd be looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda. Councillor Becker would make that motion. Councillor Heffer would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. Under Homes for the Aged, there's a level of care funding increase for long-term care, and that was presented in our package, and Dana is here to answer questions if there's any questions on that report. And if there is no questions, then I'd be looking for a motion to receive that report. So that's Councillor Harding and Councillor Past Warden Ginn. Those in favor? That is carried. Mechanical lifts at Huron View, and again, Dana is here to answer questions on this report. And if there is no questions, a motion. Councillor Finch, Councillor Noel would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. Under Emergency Services, the Ambulance Response Time Performance Plan, and Jeff is here to answer questions regarding this report. And you know the process. If there's no questions, we'll be looking for a motion. So Councillor Finch again, and Councillor Anderson, those in favor? That is carried. Under Public Works, the motor grader, and if there's any questions for this, Imran is here to address those. And if there is no questions, then I'd be looking for a motion to receive the report. So that's Councillor Dietrich and Councillor McClellan. Those in favor? That is carried. Bulk salt procurement, again, Imran is here to answer questions. Without seeing questions, I'd be looking for a motion. So Past Warden Ginn and Past Warden McNeil, those in favor? That is carried. Intersection review at County Road 30, and I'm going to shake it up a bit here, and Imran is actually going to present for us on this one. So go ahead, Imran.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you, I just thought it'd be a good idea to maybe go over the report a little bit. It's a lot of information there. So over the past several years, both Huron and Perth County Councils have received requests to take another look at the safety of the intersection at Huron Road 30 and Huron County Road 34, better known as Main Corners, located in the township of Howick. A traffic safety study in 2020 concluded that the intersection did not meet the warrants for an all-way stop at the time. However, it also identified a history of collisions, mostly related to drivers disobeying traffic control or failing to yield. Since then, additional collisions have prompted both counties to revisit the issue. This year, Huron County and Perth County worked with R.C. Spencer Associates to complete a new in-depth review of the intersection. The consultant examined traffic volumes, collision history, sight lines, and existing safety measures, which currently include oversized stop signs with LED lights, flashing beacons, rumble strips, and other warning devices. While traffic volumes still do not meet the provincial warrants for an all-way stop or traffic signal, the study did identify a key concern. There is a limited sight distance for larger vehicles making left turns from a stop due to the horizontal curve southeast of the intersection. After considering several options, the consultant concluded that the most effective way to address the visibility issue is to install an all-way stop. This change will improve safety by ensuring that all vehicles must come to a complete stop before entering the intersection, mitigating the sight line limitation. As part of the improvements, we will also be adding intersection lighting for better visibility at night and reducing the posted speed limit from 80 kilometers an hour to 70 kilometers an hour on all legs of the intersection to give drivers more time to react to the new stop signs. These combined measures are expected to enhance safety and reduce the risk of serious collisions at main corners. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Councillor Harding, please.
I'd just like to comment on this because this intersection is in Howick and it's been an ongoing problem. And I really would like to compliment Perth County Public Works and Huron County Public Works on working together for this report. It doesn't have everything that a wish list would want, but it deals with a lot of the problems, and it's needed. There will be some pushback on some of the things that are in this report, but I think if you take the time to read the whole report, and Imran has highlighted it, it's a very comprehensive and a very good report. And I would like to, as Perth County has accepted their half of this project, I would like to make a motion that Huron County Council accepts the other half of this, and we move on, and hopefully there's better days at this intersection ahead.
So Councillor Harding has put forward a motion to receive the report and to proceed with the all-way stop signs. And Councillor Noel would second that. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Oh, Councillor Finch, please.
Yeah, just the size of the stop sign itself will be as large as they can be. What's the story on that?
Go ahead, Imran.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. They will be the oversized, the maximum size we can put on.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Klopp, please.
Just for clarification, that's a separate motion than the one that's on the recommendation?
Sorry. Those in favor of that motion, and that is carried. Speed limit bylaw amendment, and again, Imran is here to answer questions on this report. I'm not seeing any questions, so again, the mover and the seconder, Councillor Klopp.
Yeah, I guess I'll move it, but as a comment after. It's been moved and seconded already?
Not yet.
I'll move it, but I have a comment.
Okay, seconded by Past Warden McClellan, and go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, it's almost sounds like I'm not supporting the motion, but I just want to get it on the record a little bit. We've been changing these signs, and my understanding is that there's regulations. You can't go from, say, a 90 and only have a 10-kilometer difference like how it used to be or how it was. And in some of these that I've noticed, we're getting way out into the country with 70 kilometers an hour. And I recall back in the day when the police department used to comment that people drive based on what they see. And I know provincial roads followed that policy very strictly, because many times people asked that should be a 30 kilometers further out. Like we all know of cases in our communities when it went down to the county, and now I'm understanding that there's provincial legislation, but what's happening and what has a potential to happen, we're actually going to have more accidents maybe happening or an increase. I know of 3 places, and I drove up to the north end of the county, and I realized, oh, this is a 70 here. So it isn't just getting talked about in my neck of the woods. I get it, but I just think that maybe we should be talking to someone about how can we get it back that it's maybe 10-kilometer differences, because I can just foresee potential problems happening down the road, and it's unfortunate, but that's human nature.
Imran, are you able to address some of the technical issues around those comments?
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Through you, briefly, yes, that is a provincial requirement, and all I can say is that we do take that into consideration when we look at these speed limit reductions. And I can't really comment on whether I agree with what the thing should be, but yeah, yeah. But I will say that we take a good look at that. We try to, but at the same time, we are required to put those out through our channels when we do go to conferences and stuff. And if we do get the opportunity to bring this up to the organizations that do make those rules, we will voice those concerns. And we do get that opportunity through the Good Roads and the Municipal Engineers Conferences.
And a follow-up, Councillor Klopp.
And I thank you for your candidness on the issue. Yes, it's a political decision, but if there's some information that can forward to politicians, it's still a little early, but just lately I've been noting some very close frustration at a couple corners, and it's related to the one right in my neighborhood. It's literally, people are joking, it's at your corner, Paul, where you have to drive 70 now. I got to say, it's great for us tractor drivers because now we can only do 70 anyway, but it is, I think you need to keep some data, and maybe it'll work itself out, but it's a little frustrating.
Okay, any other comments? Past Warden Ginn.
Thank you. My question is traffic volume ever a consideration of this, or is it just distance out from a settlement area?
Imran?
I'm going to defer this one to Wyatt.
Wyatt?
He's our roads project manager. He's more in tune with the rules of the speed changes.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Yeah, through you, Warden. Traffic volumes aren't affecting the OTM requirements. So those 70 are transition zones. So it's a recommended 20-kilometer drop. I know the 500 meters seems large. That's the minimum. We're trying to play with that depending on the area, because some of these, you're right, we are out into urban areas quite a bit. But no, traffic volume does not impact that.
Okay, any further comments? Councillor Harding, please.
I'm not sure what side Councillor Klopp's on here, but I'll take the side that we appreciate these speed reductions in Howick Township. We have 3 or 4 small villages, and these accidents are happening in high speeds. And I think if we can lower the speed limits a bit in some of these areas, we can see a result going ahead in these accidents. And definitely as the speed goes up, they get more serious. And so we in Ford Beach, Gorey, Roxeter area, if any of you are familiar with that area, we are in favor of what's happening. And I don't know how to say it politely. I'm not against these tractors that have higher speeds than they used to have when I was a farmer. But anyways, they can be a problem too. And hauling loads that are way over what their braking capacity and stuff is able to accomplish. So this problem is multifold, so it is. And I appreciate what the guys are trying to do their best here to come up with a solution.
Councillor Finch, please.
Thinking through the warden, a wise man once said, always err on the side of caution. And when it comes to safety for our residents, I think we have a duty and a responsibility to make sure we've done our due diligence, following the lead of staff in this case, with Imran's experience, and of course Wyatt still being new, but lots of experience and knowledge. I think we'd be wise to support this recommendation.
Last chance, Councillor Klopp.
And I appreciate that. I get that you're not sure where I'm at. I'm on both sides of the fence. I'm just bringing it up. I think the biggest area though is it's coming out of the villages. Going in, I agree with you. Everybody drives too fast. And I brought up tractors. I said that was in a good way because we're doing about 30 mile an hour, or 30 kilometers or 50. So now we don't get quite yelled at because we're actually helping people to slow up to the 70. But it's more the coming out of the villages that I think could create some problems. But I clearly want to have more information. I'm just asking to look. Going in, I'm all for it. I keep telling everybody that works for me, just because the tractor could do 30 or 50 kilometers an hour, you slow up. Because you can't stop the same, regardless of what you've got on behind you. It's not like a car. So I concur on that. It's more the coming out. It'd be interesting to see the statistics as you go forward. Thank you for allowing.
And Wyatt did address that with the parameters that the county's working in. So, Councillor Dietrich.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just wondered how we come up with these numbers or where they come from. Do we use like speed signs, or is that how we come up with this, or where does that come from? Thank you.
Through you, Warden. Through the spacing, you mean, for the signs or the distances, or just a clarification there on that? Yeah. So we have our existing signs. We review their locations, and then in the TAC requirement, it's a minimum of 500 meters per zone. So no speed zone should be smaller than 500 meters. So then we space that out to see where that takes us. Is there laneways? Is there a curve? Existing signage that would need to be moved. And that's how we go about implementing where that new speed zone would take place.
Follow up, Councillor Dietrich.
Yes, thank you. I just see some of these are like a kilometer out. That's quite a distance going out of town to keep this. I understand coming into town maybe, but I'm with Councillor Klopp. Coming out of town, that's quite a distance to hold the speed down. And I think everyone in this room is probably not holding the speed down.
Go ahead, Past Warden Ginn.
Yeah, and just kind of on that note, but is it a requirement that the signs be right across the road from each other, or can they be slower coming in than going out?
It is required that they match speeds in the same area. So the head-on traffic is going the same speed, and then we try and align signs.
Because that's part of the problem.
Okay, so I'm going to come to the question here, and I think Wyatt's demonstrated that the county is doing all they can to make reason out of this. And so calling the question, those in favor of the motion that was put forward.
There we go.
And that is carried. Thank you. So item 5 is the supply and delivery of alternative non-liquid de-icing materials. And again, Imran is here to answer questions on this report. And if there's no questions, I'd be looking for a motion. Councillor Finch and Councillor Heffer would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. And a recommendation to award consulting engineering services for the urban reconstruction of Hensel downtown. And again, Imran is here to answer questions on this report. Councillor Klopp. So motion put forward, seconded by Past Warden Ginn. Those in favor? That is carried. We're moving on to economic development, and the meat processing gap analysis and environmental scan is that report. And Vicky is here to answer questions that council would have regarding this. Seeing no questions, then a mover, Councillor Klopp.
I have questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I get the frustration on this and all the need. There's definitely need there. But again, it's really the farmers or the business people themselves that are the issue. Where I see we could probably have some help on, and it starts in here in 2001, when, just to put it in perspective, there's this many rules that we had to follow. And I say we, I'm in the business. I worked at an abattoir since I guess child labor was allowed back then. And then in 2001, they added this much more. And the frustration of many of us in the industry was we didn't need those. I have some knowledge that a lot of those were actually deep sixed in the 90s because they didn't need to be needed. They were put under, but you know, there's always lobbying. So I think we could go a long way to spend our energy on that if we wish. When I read through, are we talking about the report that was, there's a study from 2020? Is that, I have a question on that. Was that part of that study that was done by ECDev for beekeeping, abattoirs, maple syrup? Was that part of that? Is that referring to that report?
Vicky, could you clarify that for us?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure about the other two commodities that you're discussing, but there was a fulsome report done on meat processing capacity and attraction of an additional meat processing, and what it was a business case stating the viability of an additional meat processing capacity, where the first year it would break even, the second year, I believe the profit was $44,000. But I'm not sure about whether it was at the same time as beekeeping.
Okay, I'll go out on a limb and say that is a study. It says in here, it's wondering, I think how it's written, to review it and see if it relates to the 2025 costs. Don't take my word for it, but there was people that it was actually done during COVID because we did it through phone. Doug Harding listened in, and I really pushed a couple people that are in the abattoir business to listen in because people, again, are busy. That report was definitely not even in the ballpark for actual costs. Again, I can give you names. Doug knows the one quite well, and I'm sure he will tell you that it was unfortunate that report was done that way. And that again is a bit of a problem that us in your position or our ECDev department, we don't need to do that kind of work. People that want to do this work need to get, we could help them on lobbying that some of those changes can happen. And like in your top line, the 2001, 2005, we do now have our own local counselor who's now honing in on rural economic development, rural issues. With regards to even the issues that we can help, I think I brought this up before, but I'm going to bring it up again. We have people that actually have abattoirs and stuff in our area, and the frustration was our own planning system. So we need an advocate there. If this is what can come out of today, then I'll support that. But a lot of the other things, the farmers know there's a need. The farmers understand that. It is a bigger thing about federal programs and about, I know some guys and women right now that are doing one in Bruce County, and that we're wish them all the best. But again, it's a lot of higher issues for federal and provincial. So if we can maybe pare this down, because there's a lot of bullet points here, but I think that you really need to hone in on provincial regulation, really get it out. Is it a health issue or is it just not necessary? And I think there's room there, and then work on helping anybody that does come forward to be an advocate with the planning department to push to make sure things can move along. Then I'm in favor of that. But a lot of this other stuff, I get the frustration, but really it'd be no different than us getting in. We're a shortage of doctors, so we're gonna start a study on how to recruit doctors. I think the healthcare profession should be dealing that, and of course, if we can help a little bit, but not, we can't cure everything.
And with the gap analysis, Councillor Klopp, that would be the outcome, is to see what the gaps are and then how do we facilitate filling those gaps up.
Well, there's no real cost here. I just wonder, because it is the first part, there's going to be a study come back, and it says something about it doesn't have a cost. Is it just going to be in-house what we're going to spend anyway if there's nothing done? Or just explain to me that a little bit.
Vicky, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. First off, I just want to agree. I have a number of questions about that study, and so I don't disagree. Secondly, yes, there are a lot of bullet points, but the most important thing, which forgive me, may not be clear in the report, is that we are going to start by actually defining exactly what the concerns are and the problems are and what our capacity is to change. And then based on that, which would be the first and possibly second bullet point, we would follow the route that is explained through those other bullet points. So there is no cost, to answer your direct question, there is no cost associated in addition to the strategic planning that we are about to engage in this fall. So when we do our strategic planning, we will be meeting with various sectors to talk to them about the issues, hurdles, difficulties that they face in doing business. And that when we do a sector roundtable with our meat processors and with our farmers, we will be able to scope this issue in a greater way, but that will be contained within the budget that was already approved for strategic planning for this year. Should we come away from that strategic plan understanding there's further work to do, then we would come back to council for budget to do that further work. But the scoping is really important. I had the opportunity to sit at a roundtable with meat processors from across Huron and Bruce in the last couple of years with Minister Thompson when she was Minister of Agriculture, and I do believe some council representatives were there as well. And it was very interesting to hear what the meat processors had to say, and they brought up a number of issues that really weren't within our purview. But that's why we want to clearly scope what the issues are before we decide what our course of action is.
Past Warden McNeil, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden. And I think that I really like this initiative, and I think it's very important that Huron County Council support this on so many levels. The economic spin-off of this advancing is widespread, not only in employment, however, in production. And Huron County is a leader in agriculture in Ontario. And this is one of the reasons why we have to help ourselves if we want a better future. And I think it's very important that we support this initiative. We identified this at our strategic planning session as a priority, and this is following the process. Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Councillor Harding, please.
That motion that we've had, somebody made it, I certainly support what Vicky's telling us, and I agree with Councillor McNeil on this, so I support that.
So this is your lucky opportunity. You can be the first on putting that motion forward.
Would do that.
Or you would do that, and past Warden McNeil would second that. So those in favor, that is carried. Rick Sickinger is here to answer any questions that you would have regarding the SLED report that's been in our package. Past Warden McClellan, please.
I did have one, and I hope Rick can answer it. When I read the criteria of the people that can apply for the grants, or at least receive the grants, I was curious with the title of Eat Local Huron on awning for a storefront. That didn't seem to fall under a nonprofit or a municipal entity, so I was curious what their status was.
Rick, please.
Yeah, through you, Warden. Yes, Eat Local Huron is a non-for-profit organization, and they operate with a board and they follow all the rules of a not-for-profit. So we are investing in their bricks and mortar storefront to create more awareness that they're there and that you can buy local stuff there, but they do meet the eligibility criteria.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions or comments regarding the SLED report? If not, then I'd be looking for a motion. That's Councillor Finch and Councillor Basnet would second that. Those in favor? And that is carried. Under administration policies and other issues, we have a report on the McCall-McBain update, and that presentation is going to be done by a group of ladies here. And Beth, would you be so kind as to introduce them for us?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Warden. The library portion of this presentation was presented to the library board at their June meeting. And as support from McCall McBain was provided to other county departments as well, we thought it was important to share the full scope of information with County Council today. The presentation highlights some of the great work that is occurring related to youth in the county, and work that really aligns well with the presentation that you saw earlier this morning, as far as demonstrating that we're on the right track specifically when we consider creating those third spaces for youth, accessible and affordable recreation entertainment opportunities, as well as support for employment and skills development. And we will continue to adapt these approaches as we continue to learn more from youth directly. So I would like to invite Danica Bell, speaking to the library portion, Cheryl Patience, who will be speaking to the social services portion, and Brittany Wise, who will be speaking to the economic development portion of the presentation.
Go ahead once you're settled and ready.
So thank you for having me here today. A little bit about myself. I live in Huron County. I migrated here from the GTA for affordable housing. I work and volunteer with youth. I have worked or volunteered with youth for the past 25 years. My background is in healthcare, community programming, and anthropology. And I've been hired for a 2-year part-time contract as the youth program developer with Huron County Library. Today, my portion will discuss youth as a strategic priority, which is very much on theme this morning. We'll recognize the McCall McBain Foundation quickly. I'll talk about some activities and also the impact we're having with youth. We've already heard today about the importance of attracting, engaging, and retaining youth. I believe keeping in mind the bigger picture of why we do what we do is a good entry point for discussing youth engagement at the library. This way we don't lose sight of our purpose and intention when I'm later talking about video games, crafts, and Nerf battles. So the economic development and our library also echo the City Council priorities in regarding youth. I'm just going to kind of blast through these because we've really spoken already well to them today. I'll also just quickly recognize the support of the McCall McBain Foundation, whose priorities are listed on this slide as well. So getting into the library. At the library, we engage with youth through meaningful programming that is of interest to youth. Activities are created with an accessibility plan to make each activity enjoyable for all kids. Programming is informed by youth culture, and I'd like to spend a little moment here just to give a short example of what youth-informed programming means. So this past week, we've done Minecraft paper circuits. This involves laying pathways for simple light circuits, and for older youth, there is a version that has a light switch component to it, so you turn it on and off. A similar activity to this is a holiday craft with a light up Rudolph nose, which my adult brain thinks is totally adorable. I'd love the idea of making this craft, and it's very tempting to plan this as a youth program. However, shifting into a youth culture mindset, it's easy to see the appeal of the same activity packaged as one of the world's most popular video games. The technology and the science learned is the same in both these activities, but Minecraft is going to draw in more youth than Rudolph holiday crafts. It has been a very successful program this summer, and youth are asking for more activities like this. So that youth culture mindset is informed by video game culture, pop culture, TikTok, and role-playing games. Youth engagement at the library has been growing. In 2024, youth-focused items were identified and purchased. The library piloted programs such as Nerf, Nintendo Switch, and VR that year, and these activities have begun to roll out across the system in 2025. These piloted programs include community collaborations, and some specific past highlights included very successful Star Wars days, and also an anime group began in 2025, and this it was noted that this drew in new patrons to the library, new youth patrons to the library. 2025 also included the hiring of myself. My role is a short-term position to support youth-focused initiatives, which includes increasing staff capacity for program development once the role is ended. The Cricut and Button Maker are also part of our Makerspace activities. I often recommend to adults to save the trip to London for a virtual reality experience and take their kid or their grandkids who are 13 years of age or older to the library to use the VR headset. It's really fun, and you will definitely win points with kids if you do the VR with them. This summer, we are running Game On, which has been a successful county-wide program, and it's drawn youth who have not been to the library since they were very young. Community partnerships is a key element in what we're doing. The library continues to seek new community partners and strengthen existing partnerships. We're strengthening the relationship between high schools and their local branch. Some of our community partnerships have included The Well, which is a youth mental health and wellness service that has collaborated with Exeter Library to offer the Youth Hub, which is a drop-in program activity for youth aged 12 to 25. This partnership included a very successful coffee house event, which was also in collaboration with some other partners. The Well has recently moved into a larger space in Exeter and will continue to be a partner of the library. Tanner Steffler Foundation is also a local youth wellness and mental health partner that hosts monthly events at the library and also in their own space. Some new partnerships have included the Blythe Kids Club, which hosts events up to 400 children in North Huron. Huron Perth Children's Aid Society. And this partnership will bring youth who may not be living by their childhood branch back to the library, as well as kids living in group homes or street involved into programming. This is all done in tandem with the work being done when primary schools and the early on years. We are continuing with the system-wide rollout of programming this year, and will continue into the next year as well. If we look at numbers, it's very clear that there's an increase in youth programming and attendance, and this has been growing each year. With these numbers, I'd just like to point out that the 2025 numbers listed here are only January and March, which is really impressive when you realize it's only for 3 months. I was asked at the library council meeting if these numbers would further increase, and I shared that I suspected so. We haven't put together this data yet, but I do believe that it has increased. About 70% of the kids at a program earlier this week had not been to the library since they were very young, and all of them were coming back the following day for another program. And this was interesting to note because these youth would be more engaged. I've always had a problem saying this sentence. The youth would be more engaged in a library program. The youth would be engaged in a library program more times in the past 48 hours than they had in approximately 4 to 6 years. And the 2 programs that drew them in were Mario Kart tournaments and a Nerf battle. The numbers are important, but so is the feedback from youth, and their enthusiasm also really makes those of us delivering the program feel that the work of the library and the county is heading in the right direction. I'd like to finish off with some thoughts shared by youth themselves. So youth are feeling engaged. Damien, aged 13. I love the library because my friends are here. I read here and I learn new things and have fun. Kate, age 18. The last time I came regularly to the library, I was in daycare. Now I come every month for Dungeons and Dragons. Youth feel understood. I come to the library to see my friends and play video games. I come because there are free computers, free Wi-Fi, and free video games. And that's from Cooper, age 12. And from Sid, age 18. I think what you are doing, bringing in more youth programming, is pretty cool. The library was always a community place when I was a kid. Now more teens are coming, and I like this. And I'd like to pass the torch to Cheryl to share about youth recreation, arts, and sport programming.
Thank you so much. So the Youth Recreation, Art, and Sport Program, or YRASP as we call it, is a program that funds $800 annually to children and youth aged 0 to 17, whose families have an income less than $45,000 for the year. So with the YMCA conducting the administrative functions, the funding that we contribute to the program, as well as the additional funding that the McCall-McBain Foundation contributed, assisted 45 additional families on top of the regular numbers to participate in these programs. This program itself is unique because it's local and it's not sports specific. We also find that it's local businesses and local service organizations that are receiving the benefit of the registration dollars. There's a bit of a breakdown here by region just to show overall participation in the YRASC program and which communities are accessing the program itself. It's pretty indicative of population size. Okay. And then also just a breakdown of the activities that the youth enrolled in through YRASP funds. So there's a good distribution, and then there were the odd few that we've noted at the bottom that signed up for different activities that aren't listed in the bulk there. So things like piano, cheerleading, Girl Guides, horseback riding. We have had families as well reach out to access safety equipment. So if the family's into something like snowmobiling and they can't afford a helmet, they'll reach out to the program. So it's just interesting from a safety perspective too, the things that families request. And we've also included just some quotes from families that access the YRAS program. This family in particular was able to have 4 children participate in the YMCA program. So the younger children all were able to get swimming lessons, and the older son was able to get a gym membership so they could be healthy and active. And with the remaining dollars that were left out of the $800 per child, they were able to purchase bicycles. And you'll see on the next slide, the older son was able to use that bicycle to be able to go to his part-time job. So that was the means of transportation to be able to work as well. So it was kind of a neat secondary benefit to the recreation program that he had that transportation in place. So that certainly the mother was very happy, but the 4 children were also very pleased. And then we've included a quote as well from mother of a young child who lost her husband unexpectedly and didn't think that she would be able to continue with hockey registration. And we heard that from the presentation earlier this morning. But through the YRAS program was able to continue that normal activity for the son, which assisted with obviously the healing and the mental health components for him and the family itself. So just the gratitude that was passed on from that mom in that difficult situation is quoted there as well.
Through you, Warden. The Huron Business Center, as you know, oh, sorry, you can flip the slide there. Thank you, is involved with the annual summer company program. This is a provincial program that runs across the province, and it is aimed at individuals aged 15 to 29. The caveat is that they must be returning back to school. So it's students, and it's giving them the opportunity to run a business for the summer. Throughout the summer, participating students learn how to run a business through business training, training sessions, and those can be on anywhere from like marketing to bookkeeping, customer service. There's a whole gamut of things that they learn, as well as one-on-one business coaching and mentorship. They develop financial literacy and money management skills, as well as how to navigate customer relations, marketing, and more. In 2024, the McCall-McBain Foundation supported 5 students, and I'm pleased to say that they are funding up to 5 students this year and next year as well. So we're really excited about that continued partnership. You can switch to the next slide, please. So last year's students, there's 10 of them that participated last year. So we had a mobile skate sharpening company, a farm fresh chicken operation. There was a residential cleaning business. Next slide. And also there was a mobile auto detailing service and riding lessons as well. You can just flip to the next slide. Thank you. And as you saw in the month report, we have a variety of students participating this year as well. So we have a few apparel businesses. There's a sunflower farm. There's a 3D printer. They always come with such unique, original ideas, and it's really lovely to see the gamut of what they come back with. And it's also really just neat to see them learn so much over the summer. Like, but the students that come into the program and the students that leave are completely different. And it's like, how did you learn all this in 2 months? It's really great. We always hear really great feedback about the program, and students have, like from an impact standpoint, students who participated last year, 100% of them said that they would continue their summer ventures beyond the summer, and they all have. The chicken farmer just reached out to us this week to ask if we'd all be interested in buying some more chickens this year. So if anybody wants chickens, just give me a call. And 100% said they were interested in pursuing entrepreneurship in the future as well. And then also they all would recommend the program to others. So some of the students that are in the program this year were actually direct recommendations out of last year's cohort. Next slide, please. The feedback we hear is always really great. The students really love that we walk them through in a hands-on format. They really like the variety of training that's offered, as well as that one-on-one coaching and accountability. So our lead business advisor, Trish Denemy, is wonderful. She's wonderful with the students, and she's really good at walking them through and making sure they're hitting the criteria that's laid out by the province. They have certain number of hours that are supposed to be completed and so on and so forth, and she's really great at helping them understand and how to get to those thresholds that they have to meet. They also identified that they leave with improved time management skills, better productivity levels, and that they just have an overall increased confidence in their ability to, to go through life after they do the program. Again, it's just a really great way for youth to connect with the community and really to learn like lifelong skills that are going to help them in their future career endeavors and again, just life in general. So thank you. And I guess I should ask if there's any questions.
So thank you, Danica, Cheryl, and Brittany for the information. And I'm going to go to council if there's any questions you would have. Past Warden McClellan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Not a question, a comment. Congratulations on the idea of getting youth together in the library playing video games. Bottom line is they're going to play the games anyways. You've now got them in a controlled environment. I think it's a great idea. I heard this a number of years ago, but at that time, there was more than 40 people that were under the age of 40 that were already billionaires. And they said because growing up, they had things that gave them different ideas, whether like playing video games and things like that, that they got to experience things that our generation never did. We grew up with Slinkies. That's why, they really didn't have a lot of imagination there. So the fact that you're getting them to do things that they're going to do anyways, but in that controlled environment, I applaud you for that, because I think that's a good way to get them into the library, and also it can help open their eyes to other things that the library has to offer.
I agree, and I definitely appreciate the support for video games. They definitely look a lot different, even from my generation to the generations now. These are games and access points for engineering or even just storytelling as well too, or appreciating stories. So they're different, and they are very appealing to kids, and they're universal, and It's nice that they are more accessible than some sports, but they're also still inaccessible for many families as well. So having them in the library and creating community, and then attaching the library and the county to those core feelings is really important at those ages as well.
So, Past Warden McClellan, slinkies weren't that bad when you grew up in an old farmhouse with big stairway. So, Councillor Bazinet, please.
I was just asking Councillor Harding if slinkies were a 70s thing or a 60s thing. No, I want to thank you for your presentation. It entwines with the delegation that we had earlier, and I think all the libraries are doing a good job. When you talk about video games, and you mentioned not everyone can afford video games, right? So there's an opportunity for kids to go to the library. But the other nice thing about that is maybe they're going to meet other kids that they wouldn't talk to at school. So there's that opportunity as well. And just to touch on the Youth Well Hub thing that's mentioned in Exeter, there is one now in Goderich at the Goderich Kinsman Center, and it's operating this summer every Tuesday from 11 to 4. And there is also one in Kincardine now as well, and I believe they operate every Friday. So they are expanding on those Youth Well Hubs, which are also needed for our mental health issues that we're struggling with. So thank you.
Councillor Noel.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I just wanted to commend all the work that's being done at the county, and I wanted to link back to the first presentation actually this morning as well, because it seems to me that the library is taking on the role of this third place, this third space for our youth, and offering programming and activities that are designed to get people in the door, to feel comfortable, to interact with one another. I just think it's absolutely fabulous. So that was my comment. Thank you.
Okay. Past Warden Ginn.
If you'd permit me to tell you a short story, it changed my mind on video games completely. I had my grandson back in my woodlot, and I said, come on over here, I want to show you something. There's this tree growing out of a rotting tree stump. And he came over and he said, what's that birch tree doing there? So this is a 6-year-old from the GTHA, and how in the world did you know that was a birch tree? And his answer was Minecraft. Blew me away.
Any others? Councillor Finch, please.
Yeah, great presentation again. And again, for years, people thought video games are bad, blah, 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 right? But it allows young people who are interested in video games to do that. And if they're together, they ask how and why this works. And of course, we start building engineers just from that simple thing. I know in my own family, my son was into that quite a bit, and all of a sudden he lost interest in it. Now he's a technical guy for Bell Canada. So I see the success in that. And I think it's really good to have that space that they feel safe. And they can go there because, like we said earlier, not everybody plays hockey or other sports. So let's start experiencing these other things that these kids can do very inexpensively. So well done.
So thank you for the presentation, and thank you for the comments from council. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this? So that's Councillor Noel and Councillor Anderson. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you so much. We have an attrition management update for 2025, and Megan is here to answer questions that you would have regarding this information. Not seeing any questions, then Councillor Harding, please.
I can't let this go by with no questions. That word attrition hasn't been mentioned enough in the last little while. A year or so ago, it was front and foremost, and I was so amazed when I saw attrition in this today's, I don't know the word, what I'm supposed to use, today's agenda. But anyways, it fits in with my thought of how can it's not attainable anymore to keep up the way we're going. And when I see the results of this attrition and what we saved there, I'm impressed, and I think there may be life in this yet. So thank you very much for this, and I'll make the motion to accept that report.
So motion made and seconded by Councillor Heffer. You had some comments, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. Thank you, Mr. Warden. I just want to thank our CAO and senior management. When I saw that, as Mr. Harding alluded to, it really grabs your attention, and thank you again.
I think we'd all agree that's good reports and good information to take in when reading it there. Those in favor? That is carried. Several items under correspondence, and I'm going to ask if there's any specific items any councillor wants to draw attention to. Councillor Finch, please.
Thank you. Through the warden, 14.8 and 14.26.
14.8 and 14.26.
Correct.
And we will deal with those individually for our clerk's sake. So starting with 14.8, you put that forward as a motion, and would there be a seconder for that? Councillor McClellan? Those in favor? And that is carried. 14.26 put forward by Councillor Finch and seconded by Councillor Anderson. Those in favor? And that is carried. Anything else on the list? Councillor Anderson?
14.14.
14.14.
It's regarding the van at Huron View and Huron Lake. And I have received a couple of emails regarding that. And I just wondered if we could have a report brought back.
Okay, so the motion then is to ask for a report regarding this situation. CAO work. I'm just going to make mention to County Council that that was a decision that was made last fall during budget discussions, and it came to us on 2 different occasions. We did spend significant time discussing that and coming to that conclusion. So that was the decision that was made by council at that time. And if we were to look at that again, it would be something that I would suggest would be looked at this fall when we deal with budget again, if that would be the wish of council to do it at that time. So that would be my comments on that. Councillor Anderson?
Okay, do you need a motion then, Warden, for us to bring that back for budget discussion?
That's what I would suggest would be the appropriate motion. If council would choose to do that, then that would come back at our budget discussion time.
Okay, I would make that the motion.
Okay, so that motion is made by Councillor Anderson. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Vanstone would second that motion. Those in favor of that? Hands up, please. That motion carries. Anything else in that list that anybody would want to speak to? Councillor McClellan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'd like to pull 14.12 from MAD Huron Bruce, support for a MAD roadside sign. I think they needed a resolution from council. I think they've already spoken to Imran, I believe, about this. So I'd like to support this, please.
Okay, so that 14.12, the MAD sign. And is there a seconder for that? Councillor Finch. Those in favor? That is carried. Anything else from the list of correspondence that needs to be addressed? Then I'd be looking for a motion to receive correspondence that's not specifically dealt with for information. Passed Warden Ginn, second by Councillor McClellan. Those in favor? That is carried. Is there any notice of motion? I see none here. So we're moving on to bylaws, and I would look for a mover and a seconder for the. Did I miss something? My apologies, Councillor Vanstone. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. But back under new and unfinished business, I missed that or didn't have my hand up in time. I'm looking for clarity on how to do this. I'd like to bring a motion forward that the county look into camera operated speeding signs or enforcement. So do I do that here, or do I bring it back to the clerk and have it on the next agenda, or can I just do it here? Thank you.
And CAO work will respond to that, Councillor Vanstone.
Yeah, certainly. If you would like to work with us, we can draft a notice of motion for a future meeting along with the clerk, and then there can be a subsequent report, recommendation come to County Council and a subsequent report, if that is the wish.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Okay, anything else under new or unfinished business? My apologies for skipping over that. Okay, there's no notice of motion, and we are now at bylaws. That would require first, second, and third reading. Councillor Password McClellan and Councillor McClellan would second that. Those in favor? That is carried. We do have a close to public session, and I'm going to suggest that we take a 10-minute break and then reconvene. So clerk, would you like a motion to go into closed session at this time? And that's Password McNeil, seconded by Councillor Dietrich. Those in favor? That is carried. So I would now be looking for a motion to rise from our close to the public session. And that is Councillor Becker and Councillor Vanstone. Those in favor? And that is carried. And I'll ask CAO Work if she would give a rise and report out of our closed session.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Warden, the reason for council to go into close today was for council to receive information supplied in confidence by the province regarding COCHI and OFI funding, and to discuss matters related to IT security of municipal property.
Thank you, Megan. At this time, I'd be looking for a motion for the County of the Council of Huron to direct staff to proceed as directed in our close to the public session. That motion is made by Password McClellan and Password McNeil. Those in favor? That is carried. Just to make you aware, there's a list of upcoming meetings, and by all means, I hope that each of you is able to enjoy a nice drive up to the north end of the county and join us for our staff appreciation afternoon. So thank you for your attention to everything we dealt with today. I need a confirmatory motion. Who would confirm our actions for the morning? That would be Councillor Harding and Councillor Basnet. Those in favor? That is carried. And are we able to adjourn today? Councillor Dietrich, Councillor Heffer. Those in favor, thank you so much. And thank you to our clerk who did an excellent job getting us through a long meeting.